Welcome to SAT TV's news. I am Larry Larrock, your presenter. In our top stories, returning Dominican disappointed in lack of progress in Portsmouth. CARICOM under renewed attack for inaction on Dominican Republic citizenship matter. Undercover soldiers killed unarmed civilians in Belfast. And in sports, Ray Charles, Point Michelle and Simon All-Stars play to love all draw. Details of these will follow. Welcome back. Child Fund Caribbean, in collaboration with the Roving Caregivers Program RCP and the Pan American Health Organization PAHO, is hosting a 2-day workshop for additional training in early childhood development. The workshop, which was specifically designed to facilitate intensive care methods for children who experience delays in their development, is taking place at the Acute Psychiatric Unit Old Building at the Princess Margaret Hospital, which will continue until the 22nd November. Hostel Lockhart, RCP's project manager, gives an overview of what the workshop will entail.
For the next 2 days, participants will benefit from sessions which will be facilitated by professionals in their respective fields on topics such as normal child development in children 0 to 5 years, the role of caregivers and primary care nurses, child care, and a thorough examination of the Ministry of Health Child Take-Home Card.
The Early Childhood Simulation Program is vital as it helps train parents, supervisors, rovers, and nurses in various communities to assist the children with greater opportunities for learning. Shirley Augustine, PAHO's Country Program Specialist, highlighted PAHO's responsibility by providing technical cooperation.
A few years ago, Dr. Betsy Boutron, who was the then advisor on family and community health, visited Dominica, and she visited with the roving caregivers, particularly in the Carib territory, and she was pleased with what she saw and vowed to continue working with the roving caregivers on improving child health. We think at PAHO that it is important that we collaborate with other agencies or the associations to ensure that the people receive the maximum quality of care that they need. Your being here today is testimony to the fact that we believe in empowerment, we believe in building capacity so that you as roving caregivers can go out and be better able to do the work which you have to do.
Ms. Augustine urged the participants to remain focused on the decision throughout the 2 days to participate actively and above all ensure that they put what they have learned into practice. The National Bank of Dominica, represented by Mrs. Susan Piper, showed their support to the workshop.
NBD has been a sponsor of the RCP since 2007, and as a sponsor and a partner of the RCP, we feel that we are integrally involved in child development. As a matter of fact, education at all levels, the infant level, the child level, the youth, is a particular focus for us at NBD. And we sponsor many educational programs. Those of us who are here, we understand the importance and the benefits of educating our children, even the ones that are disadvantaged, the ones that are financially and socially disadvantaged, the ones that are physically and mentally disadvantaged. And so NBD is very proud to be associated with the RCP and Child Fund because really the program encompasses all these different groups.
The Roving Caregivers Program operates in 24 communities around Dominica and reaches over 300 children and 600 parents in addition to 23 caregivers. In other stories, a graduation ceremony was held on Tuesday, November 20th in honor of the achievements of a number of young persons who successfully completed 4 training programs. They participated in several programs including an entrepreneurial development program, small business assistance facility, mentorship program, and a multidisciplinary leadership training. The training program was organized by the Dominica Youth Business Trust and the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports. Speaking at the graduation, Acting Chief Youth Development Officer Mr. John Roach noted, young people of Dominica, through their involvement in the National Youth Council, have been making tremendous contributions to the political, social, education, and economic development of Dominica and the region.
This is evident today in the number of young people who serve on village, town, and city councils across the island and also serve as chairpersons and mayors of these councils. Many NYC executive members have transitioned to the political arena, and some currently serve as members of parliament. Currently, we have Natasha Gervier, Dion Ansem, Delroy Williams, and Jaisa Bilwa, who are giving a good account of themselves at the regional level. Shane Shillingford is giving a good account of himself at the international level.
Mr. Roach says the Youth Division continues to make contributions towards the development of tourism and civic and the environmental sensitization landscape of the country. In response to the emerging trends of the Youth Division has partnered with USAID and other organizations to target hard-to-reach youth through the Agana program, the Youth Center Life Skills program, Shut Out Violence, and Youth Talk through the arts.
These new initiatives have had tremendous positive impact on many Dominican youth in addressing the many issues which confront them. Our district youth officers continue to provide guidance and moral support to our young people on a daily basis. While consideration is given to the current economic situation, one must also be cognizant of the fact that if a country's most vibrant labor force, the youth, is not empowered, the social and economic consequences will be more acute. More investment in the Youth Development Division, in the Dominica Youth Business Trust, and the National Youth Council, and consequently Dominican youth, is therefore justifiable. My dear entrepreneurs, prospective entrepreneurs, and leadership graduates, the Youth Development Division and the Dominica Youth Business Trust have brought you one step closer to your goal.
He urged the graduates to build on their recently acquired foundation while remaining steadfast on their quest of self-development. Female Entrepreneur of the Year is Natoya Augustine Paul, the proprietor of Bayline Seafood Services, while Male Entrepreneur of the Year is Bert John Baptist of Bert Motors. Awards went to Miss Elizabeth Alfred, Mr. Davis Slater, and Mr. Jules Pascal for their excellent contributions to the youth development as Chief Youth Development Officers. Other awards went to Mr. Colbert Pinard, Assistant Chief Youth Development Officer, and Mrs. Jennifer Lafont, former Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education. In more news, the boys of the Convent Preparatory School, along with some of their fathers and members of CARIMAN, the Caribbean Male Action Network, to observe International Men's Day and Boys Awareness Week, marched through the streets of Roseau on Thursday, November 21st. President of CARIMAN, Mr. Thomas Holmes, noted this rally was also important for the strong opposition of child abuse.
This week we have been observing International Men's Day with the theme Keeping Boys and Men Safe. We are also collaborating with the Welfare Division, Child Abuse Protection Unit, where we are saying no to child abuse. We are also working with the Ministry of Education, where we are observing Boys Awareness Week. What we are doing is highlighting the importance of boys, highlighting the achievements of boys and men, and then we're asking everybody to protect our children. Do not abuse our children. Help them to have the best education, help them to have good health, and help them to be safe.
Many times we have crimes committed against women and children perpetrated by men. However, there are men making positive contributions to society. Those that are role models to our young boys, he noted.
And having these boys on the street saying, protect us, we are there, we love you, we want to see you as role models. Let us stop the fighting. Let us stop the abuse of women and children. Let us stop gender-based violence. Let us stop violence by and among young males. All this we have to do. Let us see that our prison population, the inmates, especially the males, that this number goes down. Okay, let us see that people live in peace and harmony so that everybody can reach the truest potential.
Mr. Holmes is of the view that men can do better, but society labeling men as the underachievers in Dominica is untrue. The parents must work with the teachers to ensure our boys are not marginalized, to ensure they break the stigma men face being labeled underachievers, explained Mr. Holmes. Any message you want to send to the fathers who do not support their children?
It's a disgrace, it's a shame that when you met your girl, your partner, your wife, whoever, and then you all believe it was love, and a child came as a result, and for you to say that this child is not mine, or you say that I don't have money to support this child, it is your responsibility. I'm saying to all fathers out there that it is your responsibility. And look at this placard I have, and this says it all. This placard says it all. Fathers, take up your responsibility. Fathers, be accountable. Work with the mothers of your children. Even though you do not have as much as you would like, but the little that you have, remember that your children are precious. We need our boys to be safe and healthy, and then you can play a big role in ensuring that they are healthy, that they are safe.
He went on to say, it takes two to create a child, so fathers must not leave the cost of raising children on the mothers, no matter what the case may be. In more news, Mr. Kim Douglas, the son of the late Prime Minister Rosie Douglas, says he is very disappointed with the lack of progress in the community of Portsmouth. Mr. Douglas, who is originally from the community, returned to Dominica following 13 years in China, where he studied international relations and politics.
I can't really say that I'm blown away by any new drastic developments. I mean, as far as Portsmouth goes, the Ross University and Picard has continued to expand. But the life is basically, I was a bit not depressed but disappointed. Things haven't moved as far as I thought they would. But you know, I'm back home. Basically, it is a culture shock. Being in the East, being in Taiwan, China, places where Chinese is being spoken for the past 13 years mainly, and coming back home here, the different culture and settling down, different expectations of the people, and trying to find a role, you know, with family, be it friends, community. It's and the pace of life is a lot slower. So yes, it's a kind of a culture shock, but I'm still happy to be back home, definitely.
He noted, the state of affairs in Dominica is very sad, as working through his community, many people have been begging him for money, which is no sign of a thriving economy. This, he feels, highlights the seriousness of poverty in Dominica, and many young people have lost hope when they need to be empowered.
Because you see strong men with potential to do something for themselves, and they just feel like they are so hopeless. To give opportunities to these people, that would be very important. And something which I noticed, which I have to bring to the fore, every time I come to Roseau, I see two cruise ships parked there, one at the port and one at the bayfront, you know, and I'd like to see at least one in Portsmouth. I know that's something that the government is not talking about, but I think at least they should tell the Portsmouth people, okay, you have a cruise ship berth, but if the town is not clean enough, what they need to enhance, put the people to work, tell people what they need to do, because just one ship we could actually do a lot. We have the Indian River right there, we have the Cambridge National Park right there, we have the beaches right there. If people need to clean up, set the people in action, let them know what needs to be done, and so we can come together, do something to bring some more interest, to generate some more income in the Portsmouth area, you know. So that's what I hope to see in the not too distant future.
Since the opening of the current cruise ship season, there have been no signs of cruise ships at the berth in Portsmouth. This brings Mr. Douglas to believe that the town is not getting the attention it deserves, and this should not be, he said, when the parliamentary representative for the Portsmouth constituency is also the Minister of Tourism.
I just want to know why. I mean, if we don't meet the criteria, let the people know. If we have to fix the road, if we have to enhance, let us know what we need to enhance. Put the people to work, you know. And I think that's what leadership is about, and that's what I'm always concerned. I don't see why a lot of people haven't actually noticed that fact. But one cruise ship in a while will do a lot in generating income in Portsmouth. I think Portsmouth is very beautiful. I think the Cambridge is splendid. The Indian River. What needs to be? If we need to clean up, you know, let us know where we're lacking so we can get to work and actually, you know, meet the criteria. You know, that would, because I really think Portsmouth has the potential, and a lot of it right now we are very depressed, a lot of depressing situation. You must have heard about the crimes and all the negativity sometimes surrounding the area. So I think, we need something very soon, sooner rather than later.
He added, the tourism minister should not feel threatened by different individuals presenting new ideas to aid in the development of Portsmouth, and he needs to stop playing defense and instead listen to his constituents. We all need to come together as one to work to develop Portsmouth, and this is what the residents have been pleading for, as they all want their town to move forward, explained Mr. Douglas. In other stories, Minister of Legal Affairs Honorable Ian Douglas says, there is nothing wrong with Grenadian lawyer and former Grenadian National Democratic Congress government minister, Mr. Ali Gill, taking up a post as magistrate in Dominica. Mr. Gill began his appointment on November 1st, following months of debate by individuals who are of the view he would not be impartial in his judgments, as he is a strong supporter of the present government and has praised the Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit as being the best leader in the Caribbean.
But there have been Dominican nationals who have taken up positions higher than Mr. Gill in the judiciary, as being a judge in the same jurisdiction, in the OACS jurisdiction, who had just come from being a parliamentary representative in a particular jurisdiction. And that particular individual went on to distinguish himself on the higher judiciary, and even went as far as getting to the Court of Appeal, and served for many years with distinction. And the fact that he was a politician immediately before he took up the position as judge didn't in any way taint or tarnish or in any way undermine his ability to give good judgment on the judgments that he has given in the record. I mean, even in the jurisdiction that he sat, he gave judgments against the sitting government, but that didn't undermine his ability to perform in a judicial function and do it with distinction, like I said. And I believe that it is the same thing that will happen with Mr. Gill.
He said, regardless of the fact Mr. Gill's come from the political arena, he is able to perform efficiently in the judicial field. Mr. Douglas says, despite what was previously reported, the government did not influence the Judicial and Legal Services Commission, based in St. Lucia, who previously denied Mr. Gill to practice as an attorney in Dominica and then approved him.
Mr. Gill is an attorney at law. He's a qualified attorney at law, having gone to law school and having practiced law. And like any one of our other magistrates, Mr. Paquette, who has recently been appointed, Miss Scarlett George, who has been on the bench for some time. We have Mr. Ozzy Luis, who has been serving with distinction for the longest while in Dominica. We expect that Mr. Ali Gill will do the same job.
He went on to say he is confident Mr. Gill will do a great job as a magistrate. In more news, the Youth Development Division, in its attempt to promote the positive aspects of youth development in Dominica, hosted a National Junior 4-H Club choral speech and public speaking competition on Wednesday, November 20th at the Public Service Union Hall. The competition, which coincidentally clashed with Universal Children's Day, fell on Day 4 of Youth Week's group of activities. The idea was conceptualized by Acting Chief Youth Development Officer Mr. John Roach, who suggested this national competition so that more recognition would be given to the club members for their efforts.
If we were to do what we call a tracer study, to follow up the number of young people who would have gone through the 4-H program and to compare them to other young persons who didn't go through the 4-H program, and to see how they turn out and how 4-H played a very important role in their upbringing, we would understand the impact, the social impact of such a very important program.
The public speaking competition was headed under the theme, The Importance of Water Conservation. Participants had a total of 5 minutes to deliver, and presentations were judged on impact of opening, logical progression, general expression, expression of main points, impact on ending and timing. Calypsonian Gregory Caressa Rivera, while addressing the gathering, said he was quite impressed with the presentations. According to him, every competition in Dominica should be judged based on such criteria.
I think this is the fairest panel that I ever come across in competition. And they should be used to judge every competition in Dominica, Queen Show, Calypso Show, all kind of shows. I've never seen more consistency in judgment. And Sister Coffee Weeks will tell you all about it afterwards.
He went on to commend the teachers and organizers of the event. Participation trophies were given to the first 4 clubs that did not place. They were the Grand Bay, Trafalgar, Cooley Bistri, and Will Strathmore Stevens Primary School 4-H clubs. In public speaking, Kevin Felix of Mount John Primary School took 3rd place. Markel Auguste from the Will Strathmore Stevens Primary School took 2nd place, while 1st place was awarded to the St. Mary's Primary School, represented by Dante Georges.
I can remember watching the NBA finals when suddenly my foot became dry and itchy. I was so upset about getting up so often to go drink water. I wondered, what did my body do with all this water I drank? I also thought that what would eventually happen if the earth ran out of this water? How could this tasteless, colorless substance, also called H2O, benefit us?
In the choral speech segment, Cassie Bruce Primary was awarded 3rd place, while Penville Primary received the 2nd place award. The 1st place winner went to the Granford Primary School.
White! White lines! That's white right there! White lines! That's white stripe on our national flag. Oh, you mean this white? That's our clear crystal waters that flows through our hills and valleys, down towards deep blue seas. Water! Shh! Rushing! Shh! Gushing! Shh! Falling at the sky and over the mountains. All I see is water. For bathing is me. Water. For cooking is me. Water. To clean is me. Water. For electric energy is still me. Water.
And in court news, 64-year-old Michael Alphonse told a magistrate that he had been threatened by a group of men who asked him not to inform the police they had planted cannabis on his farm, has been fined for committing offences under the Drug Prevention and Misuse Act. Michael and his wife, Rosalind Alphonse of Gagnon, were charged with possession of cannabis, intent to supply 2,270 grams of cannabis, and cultivation of 10 plants of the illegal drugs. The drugs carry an estimated street value of $6,670. Michael pleaded guilty to all 3 charges. The incident occurred when members of the drug squad executed a search warrant on the defendant's premises at Gagnon. However, no illegal substance was recovered at the defendant's home. Police officers then proceeded to a garden at Montpatat in Gagnon, where Rosalind said her husband was. When police officers arrived, they met the defendant in the garden and proceeded to search a small shack which was on the premises. There they discovered a quantity of cannabis spread out on the floor of the shack and also observed the cannabis plants growing between some lettuce. Before sentencing, Magistrate Candia Judge told Michael, who was a first-time offender, she must take into account the quantity of cannabis. Michael was fined $8,000 for intent to supply the drugs, which he must pay by 30th June 2014, or in default spend 1 year in prison. There was no separate penalty for possession and cultivation of the illegal substance. The prosecution offered no evidence against Rosalind and was free to leave. This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.